Welcome back, Arson fans. Just like the Allman Brothers in 1994, we are back where it all begins. The very first show on the Arson Brothers Network, West Virginia Shoots. And the very first and currently only guest to be on West Virginia Shoots, back again with me, Banjo Conlizzle, Benny Conley.
Well, thank you for having me as the first ever second appearance and as the second episode of AB Shoots.
The second ever first appearance.
Yes.
We, over the last 2 years, Benny, a lot has happened in your career. It has been pretty much a roller coaster where you were ascending, ready to the top of the coaster, and then you hit the drop.
Dude, I hit that drop and didn't get any momentum whatsoever.
But right now, you're at the bottom of the drop, and you're getting ready to hit that big loop-de-loop.
Oh, dude, I gotta climb this mountain once again, but I feel like this time is different because I've had a year off, more than a year off.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to prove myself in a different way too, because not only have I been gone this long, but in the time I've been gone, the business has also changed.
It has changed a little bit, but for those not familiar with what we're talking about, who are just completely in the dark, and maybe haven't seen the first West Virginia Shoots with Benny, where we talk about his training, him kind of breaking into the business as a younger man and his teens, his hot sisters, all the important parts of his career.
Yeah.
We so go back, check that out if you want to hear about the beginning of Benny Conley's career in the professional wrestling business. What we're talking about now is right after we filmed that WV Shoots, you started skyrocketing a little bit. Had a tryout with Evolve Wrestling. You had a match against Jason Kincaid. Jason actually got signed from that match that you guys had. That's the match, at the tryout that he got signed for Evolve Wrestling. And you got a lot of good feedback from some pretty big wigs in the professional wrestling business. Tell us a little bit about that trip, like where you and Jason went, like how it got set up, the match itself, and kind of what you were told there at the tryout.
So I was messaged by Jason, I think it was in June or July, and the tryout was August, I think it was like August 19th or August 20th of 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And he messaged me and he's like, hey, they're having a Evolve tryout in Joppa, Maryland. It costs $100. Do you want to do it with me? That way, in case we get the opportunity to wrestle each other at the tryout, we would know each other and we would have some
a little bit of familiarity.
Yeah. I was trying to do a word there, but and so I thought about it for didn't take me no time at all to say yes, I want to do that. That seemed like a no-brainer and a great opportunity.
Yeah.
So the day before the tryout, me and Jason and his wife Amber, we drive up there. It's like 5.5 hours, and we sleep outside the building in Jason's car.
The old wrestling road life right there.
We were so excited to go to this Evolve tryout, and I remember going in, and I don't know, it was at the MCW Arena in Joppa, Maryland, if you're familiar with that. It's a huge place, and like you could go outside the doors of the arena, and it's this big, huge indoor flea market area, and they have anything from brand new items to used items to an Amish food court. It's a pretty good place, but I was very intimidated because the first person I saw when I walked in was Cody Rhodes. It was his first independent booking back, not to name drop or anything, but he's very nice, and I was like in a little bit of shock because I've never been in a locker room with somebody of that high stature or name or whatever. And I remember doing the seminar. Drew Gulak and Chuck Taylor helped us with the seminar. But I had no idea it was Chuck Taylor till the next day.
Right, because this was the time period where Chuck Taylor's name had been stolen. I know in Chikara, like Stoker Halfley had become Chuck Taylor, and Chuck Taylor had become Dustin. I think that had bled over into some other promotions there. So during the time, they weren't they were just calling him Dustin, right?
I believe so, but still, I had no clue who he was. I was just there to do my tryout, and at the tryout, man, there was some ring drills, and the way that they had you get in to the ring was by years of experience you had. So if you had the most experience, you would go first, and the person with the least experience would go last, and you would order yourself in the line, and they would look at you that way. And it was simple drills like shoulder rolls, and just to see how well of body or control of your body that you had. So those drills were a little bit fun. I didn't excel at them, but I surprised myself at what I can do. And the feedback that I got was good. It wasn't horrible feedback. I got good feedback in the aspect of, hey, you know, you're not bad at what you're doing, but you might need to lose some weight and tighten up some, because there's a lot of guys out there that have your look, that have your stature, and you're not standing out for us. So that was the advice and feedback I got.
Some solid advice from two guys who, I mean, Chuck Taylor now signed with AEW Wrestling, probably the second biggest promotion in America, and Drew Gulak obviously working for WWE right now, the biggest promotion in America.
Absolutely.
So you're getting some advice from some guys who have really made their name in professional wrestling and working for two top promotions, and giving you some solid advice there. Try to saying you're doing all right, but you need to kind of get to look a little bit better.
Right, and there was more into it and everything, and I got it written down in a notebook, and it was a great experience, man. We got an offer to stay at the show to watch it, but like, I obviously didn't get signed, but Jason got his offer there. Yeah. They had a spot for the show that night for the standout of the Evolve tryout, and Jason was a standout of that tryout, but they didn't want to give him that spot on the card because they felt like they could do so much more with him.
Right, and they went on to have a pretty good run there in Evolve. Wrestled a couple Mania weekends on pay-per-view and stuff there. So you talked about the little seminar there, but you actually had a match with Jason in front of Gabe and you know, all the bigwigs there.
All of the trainees that were, or not the trainees, but the seminar attendees that also took the seminar, they all had a trial match as well. And me and Jason, we were wanting to go first so we could have our eyes on them and have like fresh eyes for a fresh match, and they ain't seen the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
And we wound up going last just because if you ain't first, like if we weren't the first eyes or if the eyes didn't see us first, we didn't want to go back and be forgotten in the mix.
You didn't want to get shuffled in with everybody else, yeah.
And we also wanted to show them what we can do and what we could change based on what these guys had been doing. So.
So did you get to speak with Gabe any?
I got to speak with Gabe. That's who told me about I needed to lose some weight.
Oh yeah, Gabe told you to drop a little bit of weight.
Gabe told me to drop some weight.
So now after you and Jason go up there, Jason gets signed with Evolve. You get some positive feedback from both Gabe, Chuck Taylor, and Drew Gulak. After that, you and Jason have a little bit of a run up the East Coast there. You start, I guess, one weekend you start at AML, kind of a bigger promotion in the North Carolina area. So you get a dark match at AML, right?
Right. And I'd wrestled with him before Jason had got me a spot on the card wrestling in. It was a couple years before that, but you're talking about the Canada tour, right?
Yeah. So we're jumping into the little Canadian.
I had a loop of, I think, 5 matches that weekend. Yeah. It started off in good old, man, I can't even think. Anyway, we did that AML show, and I think it was Winston-Salem.
Yeah.
And
that's where AML normally runs, the Winston-Salem area.
The day earlier that day we were in Roanoke, and I know the night before I was in I cannot think of the town name, and it's bugging me. I was in a small West Virginia town in Canal County, and I just had a big loop of matches, and it ended in Toronto, Canada.
Right. And so you and Jason, you're traveling with Jason, y'all get into Canada. I remember talking to you not long after this happened. You got to work Chikara Star, the Proletariat Boar there in Canada.
Proletariat Boar, yes. Yeah. I was in a handicap match, not teaming with the Proletariat Boar, obviously.
You and another competitor against the Proletariat Boar in a handicap match.
Yes. This was the highlight of my wrestling career at the time, and though it wasn't the most people I'd wrestle in front of, it was my first match out of the country, and I just traveled 12 hours to do this match, and I was so excited, so pumped, and I was so tired. But
how'd that feel? I mean, you know, me and you both kind of work the local areas, and you get a lot of adrenaline and excitement just working for your local fans, but then when you get to that international level, to a place somewhere that's never heard of you before, like probably never even heard of Beckley, West Virginia, West Virginia, where you're from.
Right.
Like you're completely out of the small pond and into the giant ocean. How'd it feel walking out in front of that crowd?
It was weird because they had no idea who I was, and I was supposed to go out there and, yeah, babyface,
Yeah.
but it was just hard to be that guy because they had no clue who I was, and not only that, but I sound like a redneck to these people. Like, so they weren't really too sure, and I was really nervous on how they would react to me and what I do, and they didn't know me, so they didn't look at me as anything special, and I wasn't standing out because I wasn't in the best of shape like I should or could be, but it was very nerve-wracking, if I'm being honest.
Did you win them over? Did you get the Toronto fans behind you?
See, I don't think I did, but I also don't think I let them down. That was the beginning of my knee problems was in that match.
We're going to get to that here in just 1 second. Though. Yeah, that was earlier, I guess a month or so earlier in training, you kind of tweaked your knee a little bit, right?
It was a couple of months before that. I was doing a back roll, like getting shot off the ropes, and you go back to back with someone who's been over and you land to your feet.
Yeah.
But instead of landing to my feet, I landed all my weight on my left knee. And that was the beginning of, I guess, the end for my left knee, as I know it. I went and got an MRI, and they came back that I was okay, nothing major.
So after you tweak the knee in training, you get the MRI, nothing major.
I took 3 weeks off. And
took a little bit of time off, then back into it, doing that busy schedule that one weekend. You're in Canada, and you're in the match, you and the other guy versus the proletariat board, and again, you mess up your knee, right?
Yes, I go to throw a scissor kick, so my left leg's up, and then I jump off my right and land on my left as I'm kicking him in the right.
Yeah.
And I realized, hey, I'm not going to kick this guy. I'm not going to make contact whatsoever. So I extended out more, and I pushed my leg a little further than I should have. And instead of coming down evenly on this left leg, I came down and it twisted or whatever on my left leg. And I felt just everything give out. And it was a very helpless feeling because it was like one of the only shine spots I got, as I didn't have much in this match, but I was trying to make the most out of it. And I knew we were going home soon, so because he sold that move for me and he was backing into the ropes so he could go home is the spot. So after, like, I grabbed my knee and I got up and I was limping or whatever, and he asked me, "Are you all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Let's go home." We double Irish whipped him, went for the double clothesline, and I stood in the center and I could do all this on one leg. He broke the double clothesline. I sold the arm and turned, and then he double speared both of us.
Because the finishing move for the proletariat board, if you've not watched him, is the spear, gore, whatever you want to call it there. So you get gored by the board, 1, 2, 3, match is over. Now, I remember talking to you right after this happened. You said that, due to Canada's socialized healthcare there, you got to see a special or a doctor there right after the match.
Yeah, she was actually part of the show, man. She had told me, she said, I go to school for this, and I'm not saying this is what you have, but for what you're describing to me, it sounds like you may have torn your meniscus. And I didn't think anything of it because back where I'm from, here in the States, man, we say stuff like that all the time if we get hurt. Like, "Oh, I think I tore something. Oh, I think that's her," or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know this person, but she seemed very helpful and gave me some good advice on how to take care of it. I'd wrestled on that injury.
Yeah. So after the match in Canada, and you speak with the healthcare professional there in Canada, and she says you might have torn your meniscus. Do you take any time off after that, or you just keep going? You keep working the schedule?
I kept working the wrestling schedule because I had some bookings to fulfill, and I felt bad for taking the time off I had taken the previous months or whatever. So I felt like if I could push through, I could take a break in the winter.
So you're working through that, and then in January of 2017, you're scheduled in Bluefield, West Virginia.
It was November 2017.
November?
Yeah.
November of 2017, my bad. November of 2017, you're scheduled Bluefield, West Virginia. You and Garrett Coleman versus Universal Heartthrobs, managed by Boris Petrov.
Yes.
Go out there. It's going to be a simple match. Throbs are easy to work with, guys, right?
Very easy, man. They're fun to work with because not only do they just like to know the finish and have fun out there, but they really know how to have fun out there.
Yeah.
Like
They couple of guys are going to be safe. They're not going to do anything that's going to get you hurt.
And they know what the crowd wants, and they'll give it to them. And if they think that we need to change something, they're not afraid to tell you that. And they're two of the coolest guys you could want to wrestle, man.
Yeah.
By appearance, you wouldn't think so, man. But once you're in there with them, you don't want to wrestle with anyone else, really.
Yeah, and had a good, decent manager at the time, too.
Very good manager, man. He was rocking a dress.
He was. He looked handsome, or beautiful, whatever you call a man in a dress. But that's the big moment there.
Yes,
you do an up and over Roderick into the corner, right?
Yes, so Roger had given me an arm drag, and I had felt my knee tweak, but I originally felt my knee tweak during my entrance because in the match beforehand there was some water spilled around the ring, and it wasn't ever mopped up. And every time I face Roger, I do, like, Roger does that Michael Hayes strut or whatever.
Yeah.
So I always try to do that strut to mock Roger because he pops or sells for it. You know, he's a good heel. He'll sell for it. And as I was doing that around the ring, I slipped 3 times around the ring. And to save myself from embarrassment, I was saying that shit in the match, like trying to make it fun. You know what I mean? And I was having fun doing nothing except making fun of myself. And I remember hearing Matt pop on commentary for me, like,
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that is funny. Yeah, that's good. And then I remember I was walking on my knee and it felt weird. Like, I knew I tweaked it. I tweaked it twice, falling down 3 times.
Yeah.
I protected it that last one, I'm pretty sure. But when Roger gave me that arm drag, I knew there was something weird going on my knee. But me being the spot monkey I didn't just want to grapple and give him an arm drag back like he had called. I was like, nah, up and over arm drag. So he shot me off and gave me the up and over. And when I landed on my leg, it was the end for me.
Yeah, I remember being on the outside of the ring when that happens, and you go down, and at first I thought you were selling. I was like, oh, Benny's just going to sell his leg. He slipped a couple times outside. He's going to sell the leg. It's part of the show. That lasted maybe 30 seconds. I was making fun of you on the outside, calling you a wimp, saying, you know, old cripple leg Benny. But quickly, me and everyone else in that building realized there was something bad wrong when you came down.
I remember I was cussing, and then I didn't know I was cussing, and when I realized I was cussing, I was like, why am I cussing? There are kids around me, and I'm slinging F-bombs, and I don't know, I knew it was bad. But the one thing I'm proud of is that I tagged out.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I'm happy I did.
You got Garrett in the ring, and then a couple of guys got you to the back.
They got me behind the curtain.
They got you behind the curtain, and the match went on. Match finished.
They changed the finish.
Yeah, I think Garrett got the win. Yeah.
Because I remember you were supposed to kiss me or something.
Yeah.
Like,
they were supposed to have like a kiss spot or something and distract you, and I don't remember the actual finish, but Garrett ends up getting the win because of what's happened.
Got on that kissing spot again.
We'll book it soon. We'll book it on the next Arson Brother show. Nothing but kisses.
You're only gonna see me on an Arson Brother show in Mercer County anyway.
So you're back in the back, obviously in a lot of pain.
Oh, it's horrible. I was sitting there on the cooler behind the curtain that I'd set my bottle of water on before the match I was drinking, and I realized, man, I cannot stand up. And Jason Kincaid came by, and he's like, how you feeling, man? And I was like, I'm not too sure about this knee. And he looked at it, and he asked me if I could put any weight on it. And I was like, I don't think I can. And this is the first time I even thought this, but Jason's like, I think you need to go to the ER, bro. And that never crossed my mind because I never think I'm that hurt.
Yeah.
Being a wrestler, you kind of have some pride in being able to handle pain and being able to handle doing stupid things to your body. But that day I realized, man, I messed up. And I wasn't sure if I would ever step in a ring again.
Yeah. So you get back to the back, you get your gear off after you get off the cooler, you get into the actual locker room area, get your gear off. Big Dan Richards gives you a pair of shorts.
Oh, I had no shorts. I came in a pair of khaki jeans or whatever, and I had no shorts, and I did not want to slide anything over my knee at this point. It was horrible pain, and Dan Richards gave me this pair of huge shorts. Like, I look like, I don't know. It looks like Jinko basketball shorts is what they look like.
The progressive liberal bringing out his socialist inner, redistributing the wealth of the shorts.
I never thanked him for giving me those shorts, but that was one of the kindest things someone's
do
done
you still
for
have
me,
the
you know what I
shorts?
mean? I still have the shorts. I think I'm gonna give it back to him.
Dan Richards, next time you see Benny, make sure you get your shorts
for
back.
sure, man. I remember next to Dan was Scotty McKeever. This was the last time I ever saw Scotty.
Yeah.
And Scotty had given me some advice on which doctor to go see and stuff like that. And like, even though I was in a lot of pain and I really wanted to leave, something told me to sit there and talk with Scotty. We had a good talk. I got a phone number for that doctor. I gave Scotty a hug.
Yeah.
And that was the last time I ever saw Scotty.
And we'll talk about Scotty here a little bit in a minute. We'll progress to the night and then get back to Scotty. But so after that, myself and Matt Klein get you out to the car.
Yeah, none of the other wrestlers that weren't doing anything, these young boys see someone hurt. Not that I'm some big veteran to help out or anything, but if I saw another wrestler hurt and they were going to the hospital and my match wasn't up next, I would help them go wherever they needed to go, man. Even if it was just to the car like I needed to go to. And, you know, I know who was in that locker room. I know who you people were. And I'll never forgive you for not helping a brother out when he needed it, man, you know. And I know I didn't ask for it, but I feel like it's one of those things that should just be a given. And maybe I'm being too bitter about this, and if I am, oh well.
Yeah, well, you know, wrestling, there's a brotherhood there, and you're supposed to help your brothers out.
One of my brothers that helped me is right here, and the other one's behind the camera, so.
So, get in the car. We rush you to Princeton Hospital emergency room. Get in there. Flirt with the nurse for a minute. And they take you to do x-ray. So, that night, what kind of news do you get?
They didn't really give me any news except they could tell my knee was swollen. And that doctor was super rough with my knee in the ER, man. I'll never, like, really forget that whole experience, really. He gave me some medicine for the pain, and it did help. And it took me a couple of weeks to go get scheduled for another MRI, sorry. And I found out that I had torn my ACL and my meniscus.
So that's a pretty serious injury. That takes you out of wrestling for an entire year, minimum.
Oh, for sure. And
minimum 1 year.
I would have been back sooner if I would have torn the one meniscus like I thought I had. After my MRI, I'd fallen down in my house because my knee had gave out and I was moving wrong, but I wasn't wearing a brace. And I assume that's when I tore my other meniscus because my MRI showed one torn meniscus. But when I fell down, like, my whole knee gave out and it slammed to the ground. Ooh. And my other side that I hadn't messed up was in so much pain.
Yeah.
When they opened me up for my surgery, they saw the other torn meniscus and they fixed it.
Fixed both the meniscus there. And you were in a leg brace for quite a while. Couldn't really put any weight on your leg. I remember sitting around walking with the crutches.
I had to learn how to walk all over again. It took me 4.5 months of rehab, and then I'd get up 3 days a week in the middle of winter to go to rehab. And it was hard because it was cold outside. And I was second guessing, man, should I wait to have this surgery during the summer?
Yeah.
But I'm glad I didn't because I got to go to the beach and enjoy my summer.
Yeah, that's cool.
It was okay. It was a year off that I never really had because I've been wrestling since I was 15 years old. So during the summer, all I do is wrestle.
Yeah.
So this was the first summer I really ever had to socialize and
hang out and have fun.
And I'd never done that before.
Yeah. Now, during that year, you didn't attend any wrestling events. I mean, you just kind of cut yourself off from the business completely, pretty much, right?
For the most part, a handful of events. I did like a GM role or 1 or 2 shows, and I didn't really care much for it, so I didn't go back.
Yeah.
It just didn't feel right.
And not being at the wrestling events, we're bringing up another thing we spoke about for a second there earlier. You didn't get to see a man who kind of was your mentor in the business for a while anymore, Scotty McKeever. And while you were off, Scotty McKeever unfortunately passed away. It was a great loss to wrestling in West Virginia,
Absolutely.
to wrestling on the East Coast, nationally. Scotty McKeever had been everywhere, done everything.
Everybody that's been in the business a while knew who Scotty McKeever was.
And Scotty unfortunately passed away. And on the first shoot, you talked about training with Scotty and being around Scotty. How did that affect you?
It was hard, but it was something that I'd prepared myself for. I was close with Scotty, but I know a lot of other people who were closer with Scotty. I had an opportunity to go see him in the hospital before he had passed, but he wasn't conscious, and I just honestly didn't want that to be my last memory of Scotty, so I didn't go see him.
Yeah. So, I mean, the last memory you have of Scotty is pretty, I mean, you're coming out of the locker room. Scotty, who's been in the business forever, has had many injuries and surgeries in his career, is telling you know what doctors he's used to help him out with some of his problems that he's had.
Right.
Who can help you out, and that's that's kind of a high note to have with last time you see your friend.
For sure, man. Giving me great advice like that. Scotty always dropped good advice on me, man. I learned more on the road with Scotty than I ever learned in the ring with Scotty. And Scotty taught me a lot in the ring, too.
Yeah. And then, about around a year after your injury, you step into a wrestling ring, not as a wrestler, as a referee.
But you knew I had to do something, right?
You had to do something. Of course you had to do something. It was an Arson Brothers show.
Right.
You were just going to not do nothing.
Right.
Arson Brothers Entertainment presents Dead Leaves in the Dirty Ground, October 27th, 2018. Bluewell, West Virginia. Benny Conley has been out of wrestling, has not set foot in a wrestling ring since almost a year, like a couple weeks off from a full year there. And you referee the doors match between Garrett Coleman and Bull Rope, a.k.a. Wild Bill, a.k.a. Bill Rope, member of the faction, managed by Jeff Conley.
Bill Rope.
Bill Rope. You referee that match. Jeff Conley gets involved in the match, hits you with a glass bottle.
It was Jeff Baker.
Jeff Baker. Sorry, I manage these guys and I'm messing their names up. I'm probably fired now. Jeff Baker, the other member of the faction.
Too many Jeffs in there.
Yeah, managing Bull Rope. Hits you with the glass bottle. And you get hit with a glass bottle, you fall down. That's the first time you've bumped in a wrestling ring in over a year. How'd that feel?
The glass bottle didn't feel too good, but the canvas of the ring was better than a mattress on a bed, if I'm being honest. It was a familiar feeling that I hadn't felt in a while. So when old dude set up the table in the corner and turned around, he met the wrath of the superior kick.
Yeah, Jeff Baker gets super kicked into a door, not a table, because it was a doors match.
Did I say table?
You said table, but it's fine. I called it a tables match at least 50 times that night. But super kicked into the door by I felt that super kick.
Oh God!
If you've watched some of the old WVCW TV on YouTube, you've seen Benny Conley super kick Boris Petrov, and it rocks the jaw a little bit. So Big Jeff, boom, into the door, through it.
Through it, man. Didn't have to worry about him interfering no more after that one.
The show. We're getting notes from our producer.
I can't read. I got sunglasses on.
Oh. So, later on in the show even, you're involved as a referee in that match. Hit with a bottle, super kick. The main event of Dead Leaves in the Dirty Ground, the first ever intergender casket match, known as the Corpse Bride casket match.
Before you go any further, I do want to say something.
Mm-hmm.
If you are not a part of a show and you try to dictate how something goes on, you will get a middle finger verbally.
All right. Well, I don't know what went on there, but I'd say I feel you. If you're just trying to tell people what they should be doing and you're not there, then you should get it. Get that verbal or digital middle finger.
Or the physical one, you know what I mean?
In the main event, though, Ira Avira takes on Jason the Gift Kincaid in what is being called the first ever intergender casket match. And it's a wedding ceremony with you as Jason's best man.
We had some sexy bow ties.
You did. It was like a Chippendales experience out there with those bow ties. And You get involved in that match too. Not even supposed to be wrestling. Haven't been a full year since you injure your leg there, your knee, and you're already super kicking dudes through doors, getting hit with glass bottles, and then you start throwing diamond cutters.
All right, so earlier that day, I did some DDP yoga. I ain't gonna lie. And then after seeing all this double teaming, cheating, backstabbing, crossing, brothering, whatever going on in that match, I had enough, man, and I felt like she deserved one.
Yeah, so you gave Ira Vera a diamond cutter, canyon cutter, RKO, ace crusher, Conley cutter, whatever you want to call it. Boom, right in the middle of the ring.
And then Jason
gets you, yeah.
And he got me.
He had just married this woman. He had just entered into wrestling matrimony with her, and he sees his best man diamond cutting her. I'd get a little upset too.
I mean, why is he going to be upset, though? Like, A, we're in West Virginia. B, he's beating his wife. Like,
well, it's the fact of the matter. You can't just go diamond cutter in a man's brand new bride on a honeymoon.
I guess you're right.
Yeah. So Jason hits you with the diamond cutter, and y'all make up at the end of the match. There's no hard feelings, right?
No, there's no hard feelings, man. He won. I was understanding.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta diamond cut your friends.
Yeah. He's done that too many times to me now.
But if you weren't there, if you didn't get to see the match live, if you haven't bought it already, go to the warehouse.com's page. I don't know what the actual link is, but it'll be below here. Warehouse Clothing Company in Princeton's page. There will be a link to go purchase Dead Leaves in the Dirty Ground on either physical format, we'll send you a DVD, or you can get it digitally and watch online.
I hear they have some pretty sweet socks there, too.
They do have socks at the warehouse. Benny and I are sock connoisseurs. And the warehouse is a good place to go get some socks.
I know it's February, but check out these Christmas ones.
Christmas socks in February. Peanut Christmas socks. Woodstock on them.
Yeah.
All right, so back in the ring, Dead Leaves in the Dirty Ground. How does it feel? Like, how does it feel to get that reaction from the crowd for the first time in a year? To just get that adrenaline rush from being in the ring? Are you on cloud nine? Like, how?
It felt like I was at home because after everything I'd been through, after the heartache of watching the thing you love most go on without you and there's nothing you can do to stop it.
Yeah.
Like, to be in there and have that feeling, there's nothing like it. It's like, that's what I chase. My addiction is wrestling. It's not going fast in a car. It's not doing stupid things or anything like that, except wrestling. That's the only thing I want to do. That's the only adrenaline rush I chase. So it was a great feeling.
Awesome. Yeah, it was a fun night. It was great seeing you there. Great being a part of it with you. And so now you're back at square one. You know, back ready to get into the wrestling ring here. In March, I believe you've got a couple bookings. I don't know if you've properly announced them, so I won't give them away in case you're going to do a big announcement on them.
I haven't properly announced them yet, but I'm about to do some videos and release that in those videos.
Stay tuned to Benny's, personal social media platforms so you can see, but just know in March Benny's going to be making some in-ring debuts at places.
I'm going to start taking some bookings again, and I'm going to get this ball rolling and see what else this young line has in the tank.
Start getting some more hot dogs and handshakes.
Oh no.
Nah, back. You're beyond the hot dog and handshake stage. You're coming back in full-blown white envelope in it.
Absolutely, man. If my hot dog don't come in an envelope, I don't want it.
So I can't wait for it. I'm stoked about it. We really wanted to do this continuation of West Virginia shoots mainly because you are getting ready to go back in. And we here at the Arson Brothers Network, you're one of our broskies. You're an Arson Brother yourself. We want to document you getting back to that point that you were. We want to document you going from, just getting back into wrestling, getting first match back in, to, working internationally again, working in Canada, working in Mexico, working in Japan, wherever you end up. We want to make that a series here on our network. We want you to follow it. We want you to be emotionally invested, physically invested. We want you to care about Benny the way we care about Benny, and we think it's going to be a great story. We think it's going to be that great comeback story of just being right there at the break, right at the breaking point of the wave. Like, you were pretty much there to where if things had kept going the way they were, you were going to really make something. And then, the injury takes you down. And we want to be there with you as you, build that back up.
And I wouldn't want anybody else there with me than my ABs, my Arson Brothers, man, because these guys, though we've met through wrestling, we'd still be together without wrestling.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, even when you were out of the business, we all hung out together, had fun together, get together, eat, drink, have fun times. And so we want you, the fans of professional wrestling, we want you, the fans of Benny Conley, we want you, the fans of the Arson Brothers, we want you, the fans of a good, feel-good comeback story, to stay tuned. Stay tuned to the Arson Brothers Network. So we're going to keep this up. We're going to keep following Benny. We're going to be behind him 100% each and every step of the way. The only way you're going to be able to see that is if you, right down here below, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button so you won't miss a minute of it. You'll see all the action. You'll see all the heartbreak. You'll see all the glory. So be there for that. Make sure you tune into all of our other shows. Benny's a frequent collaborator on WV Eats, a new show we filmed a little bit, Brother, Let's Try This. Benny was on that. He's been
so good at trying stuff and eating.
He's been on a few of our specials. Benny, so check Benny out on those. Check out all of our other videos. Check out our series like Funker Brothers Super Show, Storytime with Scott.
If you
a few new things coming up on the network.
If you guys have any questions for me along this journey, feel free to ask. You could ask the Arson Brothers page. You could ask myself. You can in the comment section.
Yeah, in the comment section right here. Yeah, drop any questions.
Drop any question you have.
If we get a bunch of questions, we'll film another one. We'll film another shoot and answer your questions. Like, what do you want to know from Benny? What do you want to know about this year and a half that he's been off of wrestling?
Because sometimes it's really hard to just talk about yourself and what you've been through whenever you don't really know what exactly the steps really were, because it's hard to look at the whole picture. You know what I mean? So sometimes I don't know what to tell the people.
Yeah. Well, we'll tell you whatever you want for the most part.
If you get a dozen questions in the comments, you do a new one, the fan Q&A.
That's fine. Yeah. If we can get at least a dozen questions in the comments on the Facebook page, wherever, for Benny Conley.
Anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere. If we can get a dozen new questions that people want to hear, we'll film another one.
That does not include you, Hojo.
Yeah. We're not. Hojo would have some interesting questions.
Interesting questions. So he's the only exclusion.
Love you, Hojo.
Yeah, for real.
Where can people, I mean, we know that people can follow you on the Arson Brothers Network, on the Arson Brothers Facebook page, follow your journey there. Where can they personally follow you?
At Benny Conley on, at Benny Conley on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and I think it's at BConPie on Facebook, but I'm going to fix that probably.
No more pie.
When I went to Canada, man, they're like, what's pecan pie? And I was like, you ever heard of pecan pie? And they're like, pecan pie? And I was like, oh.
Oh, they say pecan. Well, I remember you having the shirts, and a lot of people were like, bacon pie?
Yeah.
What's a bacon pie? Sounds amazing. Like, I love Benny, but I feel like I love a bacon pie more than I love Benny.
What would come in a bacon pie?
Just bacon. Pie crust and bacon. And, I don't know how that tastes.
Bacon.
Once again, thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Tune in. We love you. See you soon.